I tested every man I ever loved, not because I wanted them to fail, but because I was terrified they would. I created impossible situations to see if you'd stay. I picked fights to see if you'd fight back. I pushed boundaries to see where you draw the line. And when you passed my tests, I felt relief. When you failed them, I felt vindicated. These are the 7 ways I tested you without meaning to push you away. 7 unconscious patterns that drove me to sabotage what I wanted most. By the end of this, you'll understand that my tests weren't about you. They were about me protecting myself from a pain I couldn't name. Way number 1. I tested your reaction to my emotions to see if you could handle the real me. I didn't just cry in front of you. I had complete emotional breakdowns to see what you'd do. I'd have panic attacks about work and watch how you responded. I'd get irrationally angry about small things and wait to see if you'd dismiss me or try to understand. I'd share my deepest fears at 3 a.m. and measure your reaction in microseconds. Day 12. I have a meltdown about my sister's wedding planning. I cry for 47 minutes while you hold me. I'm not really crying about the wedding. Day 18. I pick a fight about the dishes when I'm actually terrified about a medical appointment. You clean the kitchen without saying a word. I feel guilty for 3 hours. Day 23. I tell you I think I'm broken while we're watching a movie. You pause it and look at me for 6 seconds before responding. Those 6 seconds tell me everything. Psychology calls this emotional testing, unconsciously creating intense situations to evaluate someone's capacity for our full emotional range. I wasn't trying to be dramatic. I was trying to see if you'd run, because everyone else had run. When you stayed calm during my storms, I felt safe. When you got overwhelmed, I felt proven right about being too much. But here's what I never realized I was really testing. Way number 2. I tested your patience with my insecurities to see if you'd get tired of reassuring me. I asked, "Do you still love me?" After every small disagreement. I needed you to tell me I was beautiful when I felt hideous. I questioned your feelings whenever you seemed distant, even if you were just tired. I made you prove your love in ways that felt endless. Day 27. I ask you if you find other women attractive while we're grocery shopping. I watch your face for micro-expressions. Week 6. I need reassurance about my body after seeing your ex's Instagram. I ask the same question 17 different ways until I'm satisfied with your answer. Month 2. I interpret your quiet mood as rejection and spend 2 hours convincing myself you're losing interest. When you explain you're stressed about work, I feel embarrassed but also relieved. This is what psychology calls reassurance-seeking behavior. Testing someone's patience to confirm their commitment. I wasn't fishing for compliments. I was fishing for proof that you wouldn't abandon me when I showed you my wounds. Every time you patiently reassured me, I felt loved. Every time you seemed frustrated by my need for validation, I felt like a burden. But I kept testing because I needed to know. Would you choose me even when I couldn't choose myself? But then I started testing something more dangerous. Way number 3. I tested your boundaries to find out where mine were allowed to exist. I'd show up unannounced to see if you'd welcome me or resent me. I'd go through your phone when you left it unlocked, not to catch you cheating, but to see if you'd get angry when you found out. I'd change our plans last minute to see if you'd accommodate me or stand your ground. I was mapping your limits so I could understand my own space in your life. Week 7, I cancel our dinner reservations 30 minutes before we're supposed to leave because I'm having an anxious day. You order takeout without complaint. I test whether you're actually okay with this 3 more times. Month 3, I read your texts with your friends while you're in the shower. My hands shake the entire time, but I can't stop myself. When you catch me, I watch how you handle your anger. You're disappointed but calm. I feel ashamed but also safe. Week 9. I bring up having dinner with my ex without mentioning it's a group setting. I want your reaction and only clarify when I see you're uncomfortable. I feel guilty for 3 hours afterward. Psychology calls this boundary testing, unconsciously probing limits to understand relationship dynamics and personal safety. I wasn't trying to disrespect you. I was trying to learn how much space I was allowed to take up. When you held firm boundaries kindly, I felt respected. When you had no boundaries at all, I felt unsafe. My stomach drops every time I cross a line. But I need to know where your limits are to feel secure in our relationship. But here's where the testing became more desperate. Way number 4. I tested your consistency to see if your love would stay the same when circumstances changed. I'd be moody on good days to see if you'd still be patient. I'd be extra needy when you were stressed to see if you'd still show up for me. I'd withdraw when things were perfect to see if you'd chase me or let me go. I was checking if your love had conditions I didn't know about yet. Month 4. I'm irritable and distant after we have a perfect weekend together. I'm testing whether you only love me when I'm easy to love. Week 11. I need extra attention the day before your big presentation at work. I watch to see if you'll prioritize my emotional needs when you have your own pressure. I can't sleep for 2 hours afterward, analyzing every word of your response. Month 5. I stop initiating conversations for 4 days to see if you'll notice and reach out first. When you do, I feel guilty for testing you, but also relieved that you cared enough to pursue me. This is what psychology calls consistency testing, evaluating whether someone's behavior patterns remain stable across different situations. I wasn't being intentionally difficult. I was trying to predict your love, because inconsistent love had taught me that feelings could change without warning. When you loved me the same way regardless of my mood, I felt secure. When your love seemed to fluctuate with my behavior, I felt conditional. Write me in the comments if you've ever said just friends to someone but still needed their energy. Watch my video, She Says Just Friends but Still Needs Your Energy, to understand the psychology behind why we do this. Because the next 3 ways reveal the deepest fears that drive this behavior. And here's where I tested what mattered most to you. Way number 5. I tested your priorities to prove I was important enough to choose. I'd need you during your boys' night to see if you'd leave for me. I'd have a crisis during your family dinner to see if you'd step away to help me. I'd schedule something important on the same day as your plans to see what you'd prioritize. I was measuring my place in your hierarchy of importance. Week 13. I call you crying about a fight with my mom 20 minutes into your poker night. I time it to see if you'll excuse yourself to comfort me. When you do, I feel important. When you don't, I feel forgotten. Month 6. I need to talk about something urgent right before you leave for your sister's birthday. It's not actually urgent, but I need to know if I can interrupt your family time. My heart pounds the entire conversation. Week 15, I mentioned that my work happy hour is the same night as your friend's wedding. I watch your face when you realize you have to choose. When you choose the wedding, but ask if we can celebrate my work thing another day, I feel both disappointed and relieved. Psychology calls this priority testing, unconsciously creating competing demands to assess one's importance in someone's life. I wasn't trying to control you. I was trying to confirm that I mattered, because I'd learned that people's actions reveal their true priorities more than their words ever could. When you chose me in important moments, I felt valued. When you chose other things consistently, I felt replaceable. But here's the test that revealed my deepest wound. Way number 6. I tested your truth by creating situations where you might lie to see if you would. I'd ask questions I already knew the answers to check if you'd be honest. I'd set up scenarios where lying would be easier, to see if you'd choose truth anyway. I'd probe for details about your past, your feelings, your intentions, looking for inconsistencies. I was auditing your honesty because betrayal had taught me that people lie about everything. Month 7. I ask you about your ex after finding old photos on your laptop. I already know the story, but I need to see if you'll tell me the same version you told me 6 months ago. Week 17. I create a situation where admitting you find someone else attractive would be the honest answer. When you navigate it carefully but truthfully, I feel both grateful and guilty for testing you. My throat feels tight for the rest of the evening. Month 8. I ask about your feelings for me when I can sense you're pulling away. I need to know if you'll admit what I already suspect or if you'll pretend everything is fine. There's a part of me that's always been afraid to hear the whole truth about anything. This is what psychology calls honesty testing, creating opportunities to evaluate someone's truthfulness and transparency. I wasn't trying to trap you, I was trying to trust you. Because lies had been my introduction to love, and I needed to know if you were different. When you told me difficult truths, I felt safe. When you told me comfortable lies, I felt betrayed all over again. And here's the final test that destroyed everything I was trying to protect. Way number 7. I tested your commitment by pushing you away to see if you fight for me. I'd start arguments to see if you'd try to resolve them or give up. I threatened to leave to see if you'd ask me to stay. I create distance to see if you'd close the gap or accept the space. I was testing your willingness to fight for us when things got hard. Month 9. I tell you I'm not sure we're compatible after a minor disagreement. I'm not actually unsure, but I need to see if you'll fight for our relationship or agree with me. Week 19. I suggest we take a break during our biggest fight. I don't want a break, but I need to know if you'll panic at the thought of losing me or seem relieved. My stomach churns the entire time I'm saying the words. Month 10. I withdraw emotionally and wait to see if you'll pursue me or match my distance. When you give me space instead of chasing me, I interpret it as confirmation that you don't really want me. I cry myself to sleep that night, wondering if I finally pushed you too far. Psychology calls this commitment testing, unconsciously creating relationship threats to evaluate someone's investment level. I wasn't trying to manipulate you. I was trying to survive the terror of being left, because everyone who had claimed to love me had eventually walked away, and I needed to know if you would too. When you fought for us, I felt chosen. When you seemed ready to let me go, I felt expendable. And here's the tragic truth I'm still learning to face. Now you understand what I was really testing? I wasn't testing your love, I was testing my worthiness of it. Every test was a question I couldn't ask directly. Will you stay when you see who I really am? Some women test, not because we want to push you away, but because we're terrified you'll leave on your own. We're not trying to make love harder. We're trying to make it predictable. Here's what I wish I could have told you. I'm not testing you because I don't trust you. I'm testing you because I don't trust that someone like you could love someone like me. Psychology research shows that people with insecure attachment styles often test relationships to manage their fear of abandonment. What looks like sabotage might actually be self-protection. But protection from what? The devastating surprise of being left without warning. Do I regret testing you? Every single day. Do I understand why I did it? Finally, yes. Do I think you should have passed every test? That's a question I'm still learning to answer. If you're currently being tested by someone who says they love you, maybe she's not trying to push you away. Maybe she's trying to prove to herself that you'll stay. And maybe teaching her she doesn't need to test love might be the greatest gift you could give her. If you want to understand more about why women like me say we're not ready, but fall for someone else anyway, watch my video, She Says She's Not Ready for a Relationship, Yet She Fell for Another. That video will show you exactly what drives us to make choices that seem to contradict our words.